Greetings. I'm Takuanamaru, Real Talk Afro-Asiatic. You know what it is. Today I'm here to talk about Deaf Terms. Deaf Terms is a platform my brother Sterling Carroll, shout out to him, created. And this is going to be where that either myself or him or both of us, we talk about terminology that we use in our videos. Some of the terminology will be in the dictionary that you can find. Some of it will only be coin terms. Today, I'm going to talk about a coin term. The term is Eigo Hoe. And I'm trying to do this in 10 minutes, so please excuse if it looks like I'm rushing, because I am. All right, Eigo Hoe. What is an Eigo Hoe? There's two kinds of Eigo Hoes. There's literal and figurative. Okay, so the literal kind, you can kind of guess by the words Eigo Hoe, but just in case, let me share my screen really fast. And we're going to talk about what an Eigo Hoe is. So hopefully you can see it now. This is a look at my book, 21st Century Japan Decoded. Okay, and this is one of the terms, Eigo Hoe, Eigo Hoes. You can see Eigo, the Chinese characters in parentheses, is Japanese for the English language. A hoe is a common farming tool which is used to remove weeds from fields. Since this device gets used over and over again by just about any field hand, in the Black community, this word has become synonymous with whore. Now, again, there are both literal and figurative Eigo Hoes, so all of them are not necessarily sexually promiscuous. Okay, let me stop the share there. Okay, so the literal side, you can kind of guess. These are usually women, not always women, that are targeting foreigners for boyfriends, and they want to speak English. So all the Eigo Hoes, what makes them Eigo Hoe is not the sex thing or anything like that. It's just this need to speak English or to be in Western society. Like they want to like be a little different than Japanese. And this goes back historically to just after the war, when people don't know, there was 7 years where General MacArthur and he had a group that they were all here reconstructing the Japanese government. At that time, no one could go in or out of Japan. So they were locked down. And this is what a lot of the book is, the origin of the book comes, this is the origin of the complexes that Japanese have toward Westerners. Okay, I go in on this in the book. So what Emperor Showa, better known as Hirohito, did is he made a call to all these women, and they all assembled, and he made them comfort women. You know, comfort women. There, look it up online. I don't want to go into that. That's another term, but it's like basically prostitutes, right? That were there to serve or give themselves up to the foreigners, to mostly the GIs. Why? Because they were trying to create a buffer between the GIs or the foreigners, the Gaijin, and Japanese people. In this case, the Japanese women, and the Yamato Damashi is another term that I might go in on later. Okay, that's the real Japanese woman. Okay, so I don't want to talk too much about that. If you want to know more about them, there's a term called Gaijin Hunters. That's not my term. And there's a lot of videos that you can find out, talk about them. Okay, so that's low-hanging fruit. We don't want to go there. All right, so let's move over to the figurative side. And on the figurative side, there are two types. Okay, the first one is the low level. And the low level, that pretty much is talking about their English level. Okay, these people, they're not, you know, they want to say hello. They want to say hi to you in English. And they're, at worst, they're annoying. Okay. An example of it was when I lived in Kagoshima, which is the southernmost island. You know, most people know Japanese because it's comprised of 5 islands. The southernmost one, before you get into the chain, I should say 5 main islands. The chain of islands leading to Okinawa is called Kagoshima. I went down there. I was a vegetarian. It's the countryside. I was growing my own vegetables. That might be another story, because this was the worst decision of my life. You know, no brother in his 30s, 40s trying to go in and try to become a country boy. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that. While I was there, I had to hustle jobs together. So I used to drive this long distance, and to this one job, it was like almost 2 hours. And I used to stop at a convenience store because it was like a 50-minute stretch where there's nothing but rice fields. Anyway, I used to go in, it was really crowded in there all the time. The first time I went in there was a white dude in there, a white English teacher. And I saw this employee, an older man. He was retired. You could tell he was retired. And now he was just doing this as a part-time job. He just straight did the Gaijin interview. Hello, how are you? And I was like, oh, I'm not trying to deal with that. So when I got to the front and he tried to do that to me, oh, he was like that with all the Japanese, but he would do it to them in Japanese. He was very gregarious, which is rare for Japanese, especially employees. So rare, in fact, the Japanese manager, who was another older man, probably in his late 50s, you could tell they didn't get along. And this kind of leads to what's going to happen. Anyway, when I get to the counter, he does it to me. And I just was like, look, very politely though. I didn't make that face. I'm African. I don't understand. I don't understand English. Because, just in a way to get him to speak Japanese to me. I'm assuming he couldn't speak any other language, which turned out to be the case. So he did the whole gregarious thing to me, but he did it in Japanese. And so I complied. He's older than me. I did what I had to do. Fast forward. I come back in subsequent weeks because that same day I always had to make that ride. And he would do the same thing, konnichiwa, blah, blah, blah. I did it. One day I come in and there's 4 people in front of me. And when I get in line, he makes eye contact with me. Now you remember I'm taller than most Japanese, so I'm over their heads. And he's like, Jumbo. And everybody looks and I kind of look away and I'm like, I don't know, he's talking to me. And if you understand Swahili, you might know where I'm going with this. The line moves up between each customer. He does it again. Jumbo. And you can tell this, the customers are like, what is he doing? I get to the front and then he says in Japanese, like, doesn't that mean hello in Swahili? That's your language, right? Like, look, sir, can we just do this in Japanese? I mean, I'm not really trying to have this great conversation with you. I don't know if this was the reason, but I never saw that guy again. When I came back, he was gone. He never was there again. I don't know if he got fired. Shout out to him. I don't wish anything negative on him, but it was annoying. Okay, so that's an example of a low-level J.S.P.E.X. Okay, I'm going to make it. The high-level J.S.P.E.X. Are people who have a high level of English, and these people, a lot of times, they won't speak any English to you. Japanese. I was in a group called Afro-Asiatic. That's where the name comes from. Shout out to my brother James. And our manager was like that. He wouldn't speak any Japanese, to us. And I was always puzzled. And I found out that his family was, they had English schools ever since the war. And right after the war, if you were in English, you were kind of a traitor, you know what I'm saying? And so what happens is this became his family's identity. So he's like the Western or the English expert. So if he's speaking Japanese to foreigners in his mind, then what is his role? So he sees you as taking his role. Okay, so he wouldn't do it. But there's another guy I have where I teach writing at a test center. And this guy, he studied English at NYU, and he's very, very, very proficient. And when I first started working there, he would have a English demonstration in front of people where he would show off his English to the students, which was good because it heightened their proficiency in listening. And I would be willing to do that. I want to say that. But the problem is that he won't even say nothing to you. He won't say even hello to you in Japanese. When I'm coming in, I don't want to be assaulted with English all the time. You know what I'm saying? Remember, I'm Japanese too. When I was in the Dominican Republic, I spoke Spanish to people. I didn't speak English just because I could. And when in Rome, do what Romans do. Okay, so this guy, if he would just say hello, I would do it with him. I'd compromise, but I'm going to reflect what he reflects to me. And to me, that is a source of me staying on point on a mental health level. That's it for today. This is Deaf Terms. I am Takuan Amaru. Get at me at guycoachingthestory.com or takuanamaru@gmail.com. I'm out. 1.